Hey everyone, thanks for joining today. I'm Tracy Oppenheimer, the Senior Content Producer here at Helpshift, and I just wanted to start off by going through our agenda for today. So first I'll tell you a little bit about Helpshift and why we're doing this webinar. Then we'll move into some very actionable and tangible insights that will empower you as customer support or success managers to help your team and increase engagement, both internally and externally for your customers. We have some, quote, take-home gifts for you too, and at the end of the webinar, I'll bring in one of our customer success experts to help answer any questions. So feel free to submit questions as they come up throughout the webinar in the Q&A section. So on paper, Helpshift is a digital customer service platform. We've lived and breathed customer service since our founding in 2012 and have a lot of both qualitative and quantitative research that we've collected during our time, especially in gaming. So we have some of the biggest names in mobile gaming using our platform, and they have millions of monthly users. And usually their support teams are pretty lean, so they've really had to focus on maximizing their team's time. So we've taken what we've learned from mobile gaming and have brought that scalability to other enterprises across the board. And it's really that scalability and efficiency that goes along with it that we help out with and why we consider ourselves leaders in the space. And just a little bit of background on our product. So we support omni-channel messaging, that's in-app support, web support, email, etc., for thousands of companies around the world, including companies like Microsoft and Zynga, in addition to having some really innovative self-service options, including chatbots. We also have workflow management and workforce optimization tools, and some pretty advanced artificial intelligence that we're working on developing in-house and continually building that into the background of all these different features. What I really want to convey today, though, is that we aren't just a tool, but a partner in all things customer service. So we're very cognizant of ever-evolving customer service trends and are constantly working to evolve our technology to stay at the forefront of these trends. So today that means responsibly and efficiently using artificial intelligence and automation. And while our technology has evolved drastically over the years, our focus on customer relationships has consistently been at our core, and that's why we've put together this webinar. The other thing I wanted to point out is that these tips can be used for both in-house support teams and also if you're outsourcing. So this can be really useful to relay to your account managers or supervisors who are on the ground and are managing those teams. And then we'll be sending you some assets after the webinar that'll help facilitate the feedback loop with those people. So to start off, I want to draw attention to how agent turnover may affect your business specifically. So if you could just think about that as we're going through these next 3 points. So markets today are more saturated than ever, and competition for many industries is at an all-time high. So this presents both a challenge and an opportunity for customer service and success teams. On one hand, customers can churn and choose a competitor on a whim, but also having great customer service can be the reason they stay. So it can be a competitive differentiator altogether. Meanwhile, as mentioned previously, customer representative turnover is abysmally high. So this is hovering between 30 and 45% at most contact centers. This on top of the fact that we're always having new and improved technology that we have to keep up with, and that can affect things like morale and fears for job security, make continuity really tough for these teams. So, but it's a new year, and managers have all sorts of tools that we're going to point out at their disposal to help their teams excel. So the first step towards having a great team is hiring great people. Now, depending on the size of your company, you might not be the ones who are actually sourcing team members, but it's important to have an open dialogue with whoever that is who is doing the sourcing so that you're getting the people that you need to help you excel. So that means finding people you gel with, but also people who will stick around. And you really have to have buttoned up HR and interview processes in order to attract these great people. So here's a not so fun stat. 47% of job seekers decline an offer due to a better one. And you really want to put your best foot forward from the get-go to avoid being in that latter contingency. And this starts with a job posting. Again, if you're not the ones actually doing sourcing yourselves, you still should be involved with this process. And it's pretty common sense that you want an attractive posting without typos, and that you want to make it well organized and easy to navigate. So that can include things like bullet points and headers, but especially making it mobile friendly. And for me personally, I'm a content person, so if I see one typo, I'm done with the listing. So in order to avoid that, it's really recommended that any job posting is copy edited by at least one other person in addition to whoever wrote it. There are also so many job listing sites out there that it's important to post in the right places. So LinkedIn and Glassdoor are good, but you might want to explore more nuanced sites. For example, AngelList for tech, We Work Remotely if you're managing a remote team, or something customer service specific like support driven. The next consideration is thinking about the full scope of what you are offering. So are you meeting prospects' needs? Are you accurately showcasing company culture? What's interesting about this is that the bar is always getting higher for perks and benefits. So if you think about, I think it was during World War II when there was actually a maximum wage. So this is when benefits really first surfaced. Companies started offering healthcare to make them stand out because they couldn't offer a higher salary. So the employee-provided health insurance back then is what we think of, catered lunches and in-house ping pong today. And some of these benefits are just cutesy bonuses, but some of them really impact quality of life. So it's important to identify what matters to the people you want to attract and then meet those needs specifically. So it's not just about keeping up with the Joneses. For example, we know that one of the main reasons customer service agents leave their job is a lack of growth opportunity and career development. So if this is the case, offering something like a continuing education program or highlighting that you promote from within can be really valuable. And just according to Glassdoor, these are the 5 most important considerations for candidates. Obviously, salary and compensation, career growth opportunities, work-life balance, location and commute, and company culture and values. So those benefits really are important to attracting talent and then retaining it. So just to emphasize how important agent retention is, on average it costs $4,000 and takes 52 days to fill an open position. So we talked about a few ways to make your company more attractive to candidates, but this is also really important for retaining that talent once they're hired. So you want to make the actual job as engaging as possible. And for agents specifically, that can mean things like minimizing ticket backlogs so they're not overwhelmed, but also keeping a steady flow of tickets so they don't get bored. So having that happy medium is really helpful. This can be accomplished through tools like highly customizable routing and auto assignment. So Helpshift, for example, has a tool called Queues that does this really well. So you can route tickets to agents based on their specific skill set and availability. So we've seen customers that use this feature achieve a decrease of 2 hours in their time to first response and reduce their time to resolve by 50%. So that's something our users really appreciate, and that also translates to higher CSAT. Another way to reduce backlog is by prioritizing ticket deflection. So this can mean using chatbots or constantly improving your knowledge base to make sure it's as effective and up-to-date as possible. The Helpshift platform also makes this really easy. So now that you've secured your talent, you can start empowering your team members to create their own success. It's a tough crowd out there, with 50% of consumers saying that agents don't actually answer their questions. So you really want to help your agents fall into the successful 50%, and you can do so with this next set of tips. So you want to play to your agent's strengths from day one. So it's not just about segmenting the users, it's about segmenting your agents. And if you're providing solid self-service options for routine questions, the inquiries that make it all the way to the agents will tend to require more advanced knowledge and expertise. So agents should be cross-trained to handle most issue types in the event there's a surge of incoming issues in a certain category, but they still have their own specialties that you should cater to when you can in regards to what types of issues you are typically assigning them. So obviously agents that speak certain languages should address issues in those languages, but it goes a lot deeper than that. For example, if you think about your more empathetic agents, they should probably be the ones handling those VIP and high-touch customer issues, whereas you want to make sure that your agents with a more technical background, and honestly the ones who are more patient, are handling troubleshooting. I also want to point out some more technical considerations. So I mentioned earlier how integral prioritizing ticket deflection can be for retaining talent because it makes workload a lot more manageable for your agents. So our customers like Vivino and Microsoft often see up to 95% ticket deflection rates. So that means 95% of potential questions are answered by self-service options like reading an FAQ. 95%. So agents can really focus on creating happy customers and positive outcomes for that remaining 5%. And one way to do this is by paying attention to FAQ analytics, which you can do in Power BI, and see which FAQs customers consider helpful or not. So we recommend that every 3 to 4 months you review your knowledge articles and update and improve them. Chatbots are another great way to deflect tickets. So this is just another interface that provides suggested articles in a different way from your traditional FAQ menu. And as machine learning advances, this feature will just get more and more effective, and we'll be able to create more nuanced responses. So right now, you can send an entire the chatbot can suggest an entire FAQ that may help answer the problem, and then eventually chatbots will be able to pick out the most relevant section and just send that, so your user doesn't have to comb through the whole thing. And if you really want to discourage contacting customer support unless absolutely necessary, there are some other things you can do, like hiding the Contact Us button until a user has already gone through FAQs and marked an FAQ as not helpful, and then you can bring up the Contact Us option. You can also parse this further by offering different options for different categories of users. So like paid and non-paid would have different experiences. So updating your knowledge base is really helpful internally as well. So with Helpshift, for example, you can leave some knowledge articles for internal use only. These are also known as canned responses if you don't want them to be customer facing. So it's really important that you are tagging articles appropriately so that agents can search the full published and unpublished knowledge base really easily and quickly, and then find the answers that are helpful for them when they need them to answer customer inquiries. And then once agents have quick access to FAQ information, they can spend more time personalizing the responses and tailoring them, and that's what your customers really want. So you can also use that same customer-facing chatbot for agents, and it can suggest articles based on what the customer is asking, but then leave it up to the agent to decide if it's relevant and accurate enough, and which parts to use of the question and how to supplement it. The other thing to keep in mind is that your knowledge base should be the most updated source of truth. So here we just started using a sales tool called Guru, and this has what we call subject matter experts that are assigned to different topics, and they regularly have to verify material. And in the system, it shows when it was updated and how confident the answer is. So this kind of verification will be so useful in customer support because, you know, all our companies are iterating and changing so quickly, and just having that go-to updated source of truth is so valuable. And then beyond arming your agents with as much product and company knowledge as possible, you can take agent tools one step further by giving them data about the customer and the issue before they actually respond. So your agents will appreciate this, and your customers will too, because of how much quicker the interactions will be. And there's a few ways to do this. So one is to have a chatbot collect information like name, email, account number, order number, etc., and have this all verified prior to your agents entering the chat. And that's really good for web-based conversations. And then for mobile app interactions, when you have an SDK integrated like Helpshift, it's really useful because it automatically collects a lot of this information for you. So our SDK, for example, collects user info, app version, device type, and there's also a lot of customizable metadata you can program depending on what would be helpful for your team. And I'm sure you've all been told how important it is to collect user feedback, but if you don't take the next step to break the feedback down and circulate it accordingly, it doesn't really do that much good. So especially since you're only hearing from a very small percentage of dissatisfied users to begin with, you know, most unhappy customers won't take the time to tell you why they're unhappy. They'll just leave. So it's really good to prioritize the feedback that you do get and then dig deep into that. So CSAT, for example, is a really good indicator of how your team is doing as a whole. But what we hear from our customers is that it isn't necessarily a good indicator of individual performance on its own. So customers might give negative ratings for reasons that are way outside the agent's control. And taking a look at other metrics like maybe the percentage of issues that the agent is successfully resolving is really good to do. And it's also great to encourage collaboration so that those agents who are struggling can learn from their peers. and even your agents who are excelling will benefit as well. You know, everyone benefits from talking through customer issues. And I want to go a little deeper into that last point about encouraging collaboration. This is actually easier said than done. So your tools need to be set up for collaboration. So platforms like Slack are great for this, but it's even better to have this actually embedded within the support platform. So our dashboard, for example, allows agents to secretly tag their colleagues behind the scenes with private notes that are embedded right within a ticket. So that way they can easily see the situation, catch up, and then offer advice and suggestions accordingly. The point here is that making collaboration technologically simple and seamless is what's necessary for promoting that kind of collaborative environment overall. And then one more point on that, encouraging collaboration within teams is great, but also getting an outside perspective or fresh eyes can be really valuable too. So try to promote a collaborative environment across teams as well. And an excellent way to encourage this cross-team collaboration is through all-hands programs like continuing education luncheons. So these will help employees stay engaged at work, provided you offer the right mix of programs. So you want to make sure you include everyone, even remote employees, through virtually. And you also want to offer genuinely interesting content. So if it's not actually interesting, there's really no point in doing it. And then encourage a discussion at the end. So we'll send you a template for more tips on this and some ideas. And just some final food for thought on employee empowerment. So when I was first hired here, the HR manager made a point of emphasizing that Helpshift is really big on promoting from within. And I've seen this make a real impact on morale and motivation. And regular check-ins on performance are so important. And while this is a company-wide decision for a field with attrition rates as high as customer service, this can be really valuable if you are able to do it. So I know this was a pretty high-level overview, and you might want to dig deeper into some of these points. So we'll be sending you the recording, slides, and some other collateral for you to use. We've actually put together a really comprehensive toolkit that has these assets and more to help drive these tactics home for your team and assist you in being successful this coming year. So one of these is a customizable presentation deck that you can use to personalize and present to your teams. That should hopefully help them excel. And we also have a customer service acronyms cheat sheet that your new hires might find really useful that they can keep on their desks and refer to. So just in summary, today we covered some tips for attracting and retaining talent, some insights for helping your agents stay engaged and high performing, and again, we've packaged this all up in a toolkit for you that we'll be sending your way, so keep an eye out. Thank you all for your time.